Welcome to the Power in Motion podcast, the show for women who want to develop a kinder relationship with their body so you can feel healthy, happy, and confident without restricting food, doing torturous exercise, or constantly worrying about the number on the scale. I'm your host, Kim Hagel, size-inclusive fitness specialist and certified non-diet health and life coach specializing in body image. This podcast is here to provide weight-neutral, health at every size aligned information and coaching on sustainable habits and mindset shifts so you can feel your very best in the body you have right now. Let's lace up our runners and go for a walk while we chat. Hey there, friend, and welcome back to the Joyful Movement Show. I'm your host, Kim Hagel, certified personal trainer, intuitive eating, and body image coach, and this is episode 82. And we're joined today by Angela, who is a participant in my Right Body for Me coaching program, which, by the way, before we get into the interview, I just want to remind you that doors are open currently for enrollment into this coaching program until June 30th. So Right Body for Me is my 6-month coaching container for women who want to end the cycle of restriction and punitive exercise to find food freedom, joyful movement, and confidence in their own skin. And I've currently got openings for 6 women who want to do this work. I won't be enrolling anyone over the summer months as I'm going to be taking a little bit of a summer slowdown.
Meaning I'll still be working with the clients that I have, but leaving lots of space for fun and family time.
And on that note, I also just want to mention that I'll be probably just sporadically producing podcast episodes over the summer. So if there's something that I feel really inspired to share, I might surprise you with the odd episode.
But as part of my slowdown, I'll be doing less content creation and marketing over July and August.
Not to worry, though. I will rerun some of the most popular episodes so you can get caught up on what you might have missed over those summer months. Okay, so let's get on with the show. This is a really great interview. I've really enjoyed working with Angela and watching her move through some big struggles in her life. I've known Angela for a long time because we live in a small community, so everyone kind of knows everyone. But it just kind of goes to show that you never really know what someone's struggling with until you really dig in. Angela is a successful, intelligent, accomplished woman with a happy marriage and a beautiful daughter. You might say her life looks great on paper, but what I didn't know was how much she struggled with yo-yo dieting, weight cycling, and her self-worth as a result of what she thought her weight meant about her. When Angela reached out to me back in January, she had just experienced a big loss in her life, which she'll tell you about. It was actually the 4th loss she'd experienced in about a 2-year time frame. And lots of other big things were going on in her life too, like just lots of stuff. Life was happening, as they say. So Angela called me initially feeling really down on herself that she'd gained some weight and felt like she'd really let herself go. And that during this time of stress, she'd put herself and her eating and her exercise at the bottom of the priority list, and she felt as if she'd just lost all control. So she was feeling really conflicted, like she wasn't happy with her body, and she felt out of control around food and unmotivated to exercise. But she also wanted to move past the cycle of yo-yo dieting and body hatred that she felt. She heard me say something in a webinar that I taught about, what if you knew you were enough and you didn't have to obsess about diets and hardcore exercise? Like, what if you could see yourself the way that those who love you do? And that sparked something in her. And that's what we've been working on. And I don't want to give the whole interview away, but you'll see how doing this work on her self-image and claiming her innate worthiness has not only completely transformed her relationship with food and exercise, but also has spilled over into all the other areas of her life, like work and family. And I think the most important takeaway Angela shares here is that you don't have to love your body to love yourself or to feel worthy of love. It's still possible to have thoughts that your body isn't ideal and to decide to treat yourself with kindness and respect no matter what, and to not let those thoughts hold you back in life. And that's where the magic happens. So I don't want to give it all away. Let's just jump on into the interview. Well, hey, Angela, welcome to the Joyful Movement Show. I am so excited to have you on today as a guest.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Well, it's my pleasure. So I know we're going to have a great conversation about your experience working through coaching together. But before we get into all of the good stuff, why don't you just get us started by telling us a little bit about yourself and what things were like in your life before we started working together?
Sure. So I'm almost 54. I I think I'm pretty successful in my career, my family, my relationships. I have a daughter that I adopted as a single mom about 13 years ago, and that's been just a blessing, a wonderful experience. And I did marry a little later in life. I met my husband about 8 years ago, and we're just celebrated our 7th wedding anniversary. I am successful in my career, university graduate. I believe the first university graduate on either side of my family. But all of my life, I have been air quotes the big girl. I've not been active in sports as a younger person. I did, realize the health challenges that I was maybe facing, and started to be more active later in life after I finished university, and felt some really good confidence boosters from that. Struggled with embarrassment, just getting that motivation, the almost shame of going into that first aerobics class or whatever it was. But I'm pretty determined when I make up my mind. So I sort of white knuckled through a lot of that stuff, and, lost some weight, became more, I guess, socially acceptable size, and got some good feedback from society because of that. And then I guess just over the past year or 2 years, I lost both of my parents-in-law, and I lost both of my parents. And life just happened. My husband went back to school. My daughter's busy, and I sort of fell to the bottom of priority list, quite happily, quite willingly, but didn't have the time for everything I needed to do if I was maintaining that. And then found myself sort of, especially in the last part of 2021, having come through COVID, and then was facing the loss of my mother, just sort of spiraled out of control, I would say, and needed to do something for my mental health and my physical health. I guess that's where I landed a few months ago.
And when you say wanting to do something for your physical and mental health, what did you have in mind at the time? What did you think you were needing?
I guess I thought I needed someone that had my back no matter what I decided. I had my family, I had some very close friends, and of course I had my husband who, God bless him, kept loving me no matter what I was, like physically. But I needed to move forward beyond where I just kept, maybe dieting for maybe a week if I was lucky, doing exercise. I stayed relatively busy, or it's relatively active, I think, but not enough to control my eating. And I needed to know that was okay, that wasn't my fault. I needed to know the things I was thinking, the things that made sense to me were okay. And no matter what I looked like.
So would you say your greatest need at that time was weight loss and someone to push you with diet and exercise advice or guidance? Or was there a part of you that knew that wasn't going to work this time around?
Yeah, that was a big revelation for me, actually. My mother, who I always thought really didn't give a crap about what the world thought. She always did her own thing, let her hair go gray from when she was 20, didn't, as long as her clothes were clean and paid for, she said she didn't care what they looked like. And then I saw her in her decline, and she had this like sort of joyful smile when she kept losing weight. And it was so sad for me because I knew her. I knew that she didn't really fall prey to the societal pressures, or I didn't think she did. And yet here she was gaining pleasure in something that was harmful for her. And I guess for me, I thought, well, if that's what she's going through, then I'll never be able to do this on my own. I don't want to be in that position later in life and regretting all the wasted time striving for some ideal that society tells me I need.
Yeah. And I know you had said there in your introduction how you had, gone through spits and spurts of going to the gym or going to different programs and this and that, and losing weight and gaining that validation. And was it even a thought in your mind, or was there any awareness of how much of your worth you were tying to your appearance or to your weight?
I don't think I was aware of it, but I was definitely doing it, because if you asked me, I would definitely tell you I'm confident and I have all these great skills. And, at my work, I'm a leader. At school, I was successful. My family's a success. But then deep down inside, when I was left alone in my own thoughts, I would always come back to the fact that if I don't fit this ideal, I'm not worthy of all of the stuff that I've achieved. How could that ever have happened? How could I know they say they love me, I know they say they respect me, but how could they possibly do that when I don't reflect on the outside what I should?
Okay. So you felt that in order to be loved and acceptable, to be valued, that your appearance had to match all those other qualities that you possess. Like there was an appearance component to being worthy of love and acceptance.
Right. Even though I, intellectually, I know I'm worthy, but, when you get down to your gut, I was always, I guess, not really believing it. So I had to get to a point where I accepted myself.
Yeah. And I know you talked about, you had a lot of big things going on in your life over the last couple of years, and how you said you very willingly put yourself at the bottom of the priority list. But what were the consequences to you in doing that?
Well, I guess I lost the motivation to do anything more. I was just exhausted doing stuff for other people. And then when it came to doing something for myself, I was too tired. I had too much guilt. How can I do this when I should be, doing these 5 other things for other people? And not that I don't want to make myself out as a martyr, but I think I felt like I needed to do that, or I would be judged for putting myself ahead of everyone else that I should be looking after. So,
yeah.
And so I guess
go ahead.
One of the biggest things that I've learned is I can't fix everything, and I don't even have to try. I need to look after myself. And of course, you have to support and help your family and friends, but they're responsible for their own actions as well, and their own goals and achievements.
Yeah, 100%. Right. And I mean, you're definitely not the first woman who puts her own needs aside to take care of others. Right. We do this. And often there's lots of ways that we like to seek our worth outside of ourselves, right? And our appearance is one way, but caring for others can be another. Like we define ourselves by how we love on others, how we help others, right? In that caregiver role.
Right.
And we end up giving so much of ourselves that we feel utterly depleted ourselves and like losing ourselves. And we're kind of left wondering, like, who am I if I'm not that caregiver?
Exactly. And when things don't work out perfectly, when, you know, when my daughter doesn't make the choices I would like her to have made, or anything else, I that's okay. And that's not my fault. I've done the best I can to support her and set our expectations, but she is her own person and needs to be responsible for her own actions. And it's not a reflection on me.
That's a huge awareness, right? And I think that takes a lot of digging into your mindset, which we're going to talk about in a second. But you know, there can be that belief that if our value is in pleasing others and helping others, there can be an expectation that will be reciprocated, right? Like, I have done all of this for you, and now you should reciprocate and respect me and do what I think you should do in your life and all of that. And like you say, that's not how it always works.
No, and probably rarely, actually.
Yeah. But we feel that way. And then we think that it's a reflection on us when people choose otherwise. And then we're left questioning ourselves again and questioning our identity.
Yeah. And I think that's something for me that I have to work on, like, regularly. I've got the recognition that you know, is a better way to conduct my relationships, but I need to remind myself all the time that is not the best way to go, I guess, for myself or for others.
Yeah. Now, coming back to what you said about body image and not feeling worthy of love and acceptance if you didn't meet the societal ideal. And I know that you had talked about, you know, the different ways that you had tried to lose weight and maintain it and keep it off, and, you know, riding the cycle over and over again.
So, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I've done almost everything out there. I've done everything from aquafit to CrossFit to aerobics to running to biking. And I basically enjoyed them all, but it never seemed to be the ultimate or the final answer. It worked for everything. Every one of those things would work for a while, but eventually, you know, either I got bored of it, or my friends that were going stopped going, and then I didn't get the social part of it that I liked, or you know, just other circumstances, that it wasn't the final solution.
Yeah. And why do you think it wasn't the final solution? Like, why do you think it never lasted long term?
I guess because I was just fixing the symptoms, and the real problem was my image, like my own love of myself, or my own self-image.
Yeah. If you don't mind me sharing, I remember when we had our consultation call, and you were still fixated on weight loss. And that, you know, if you could just find the motivation again to get active and to get your eating, air quotes, under control and get the weight off, that you would feel better about yourself, right? You'd feel confident and comfortable in your body and all of this. And I asked you a question. I don't know if you remember, but I said, in the past, when you've lost weight, have you felt that way? Have you found that confidence and self-acceptance that you're wanting here today? Do you remember what you said?
No, I don't actually. I don't think I'm sure. No, I don't actually. Maybe you can remind me.
I think it was something along the lines of like, well, yes, temporarily, but it never
Yes.
lasted. There was always a bigger goal or more
Yes.
weight to lose
Yeah.
or something else to do. It was
Right.
never lasting.
Right. Yes, that's definite. So, yeah, I don't have any more insights on that. And that's probably another area where I still want to be accepted, or I want to fit that norm on some days. And those are the days where I have to go back and check myself and look at the thought ladder and see, where does that get me? And that's,
Yeah. And what awareness do you have now when those thoughts come up that I need to look different to be acceptable? What is really going on when you're thinking those kind of thoughts?
what I do is I kind of remind myself that those are just thoughts, and I need to get beyond them and see what's a more positive way for me to deal with that, or what if I achieve that thought, then what would happen? Would my life be better, or would there still be something else down the road? Yeah.
And at the end of the day, whose acceptance really matters to you?
I guess me and my husband and my daughter. And then beyond that, I need to remind myself that that's the important things in life, not whether I can go into the store and pick anything off the rack that fits me, not whether I, achieve some other, physical event that people will give me that satisfaction for. If I do something, if I do some sort of athletic thing, I'm doing it because I want to do it. I'm doing it because I want the challenge. I don't need anyone else to pat me on the back. I'll do that myself.
I remember an incident with you recently where you were asked to speak at a meeting for professionals in your industry.
Right.
And leading up to that, you had broken through a lot of things in terms of your body image, and you were feeling pretty confident in who you are and like defining yourself as more than a body. And then this meeting came up, and those thoughts started to return that, oh, I wish I looked a little different, or I wish I looked a little better in the clothes that I have, and this and that. Right. And when we dug into that, was it really about how your body looked, or was it something else that was triggering those thoughts?
Well, I think it was how my body looked, but when we dug into it, I realized that that's not important. You helped me go through a whole process of looking at, well, why was I even asked to do this in the first place? And what did I have to bring to the table? What skills did I have? What experience did I have? And what were the qualities of, certainly none of which were my physical appearance, made me the best choice for that role. And so that really helped me, our discussion. And I remember I made like a little inventory so that if I, got anxious and concerned about not, having the nicest fitted suit or whatever to walk into that room, I could gather my confidence, not from how I looked, but from what I had to offer. And that was so helpful. And I met that challenge, and it certainly didn't help probably that it was all men that I was working with, and it was all men that I respected and had mostly known for a while. And so I had some expectations to live up to. But I did, even right up to the meeting, I kept like quickly just glancing at, and if my mind would get sidetracked, I'd go back to that inventory and just look. And then, it gave me the confidence outside of whatever it was I was wearing that day, which is kind of silly to think that that would have such an impact on my mental state, but it would have had I not prepared.
Yeah. And it's not silly. I guess what I'm getting at is that often what we think is a body image thought, and I mean, there's part of that. Like we do live in a society that praises thinness and certainly validates people based on their appearance. However, I think often when those thoughts come up, it's a sign of something deeper, right? Like there's usually another insecurity, right? So going to speak at this meeting with a bunch of men, who you respect and who are going to be evaluating you and maybe questioning if you're the right person for the job, right? All those insecurities are in your brain. And then the body image thoughts are going to come as an added layer of like, should I be doing this? Like, am I good enough? It always comes down to that am I good enough voice.
Right. Yeah. Actually, it's interesting because that very same project that we were working on, I have another meeting coming up this Friday. So I've been going through the same process and trying to get my head wrapped around what I want to bring to that event on Friday, given where I'm at. So.
Yeah. And so when you're able to dig into those thoughts and look at your strengths and your gifts and like all of the things that you bring to the table, how does that help you in managing the body image thoughts? Like, are they still there? Are they as loud? Like, or are they there at all?
I think they're still there, but it just allows me to quiet that inner voice, that, that small child that just wants to be like everybody else. It helps me quiet that and make me realize that has nothing to do with the qualities that I need to tap into to make this a productive event for everyone. But they're always there. It just helps me move beyond them, you know.
Yeah. And know that they don't have to define you, right? Just because they're there doesn't mean that you have to act on them. Where, before I met you, those thoughts were there and you felt like you had to act on them and actively try to change your body to find that acceptance, where now you're seeing you can find self-acceptance and you can find your value, even if those thoughts are nattering on in your head.
Right.
So it's not that we totally switch those thoughts or like just stop them or transform them, right? They still exist. You can hold two thoughts at once and know that, hey, I still have value. I am acceptable. I'm worthy. I'm lovable. And I still don't 100% love my body.
Right. But I'm learning to.
Yes. Yeah.
As you like to say.
Yeah. And while I'm learning, I don't have to hold myself back.
Right. Life is too short to put off to tomorrow something, because you don't look perfect. I guess.
Yeah. And really, like, is that what we're here to do anyways? To look perfect and be an object to be admired?
Right. Absolutely not.
So you've made some big shifts in terms of your body image. What other awarenesses would you say you have gained over these last 6 months about yourself and your relationship with food and exercise and body?
Well, I think the best realization for me is that I can't control everything. I can't fix everything. And by trying to control my body size and fighting against myself all of the time in terms of, I want to have this glass of wine. I don't really feel like working out today. I want to sit and read a book. That constant battle isn't helping anyone. So if I just take the approach day to day and listen to my body when I need a rest, when I need some maybe more meditative or yoga activities, or I need that piece of chocolate, go for it and don't berate myself and guilt myself and, figure out what I'm going to do to make up for it. Just listen and go with it.
Yeah, it's a really good awareness. And I love how you brought up the concept of control, because I know that was a big theme when we started working together, where you said, if I could just get my eating under control, then,
Yes.
I'd feel better in my body. But what did you notice as you tried to control food?
It controlled me, I guess. It was, it just takes so much time. You've got to measure this. And did I get my protein? And I just wasn't happy. I wasn't happy having to be that structured, that, rigid, and I can't have this and I can't have that. Well, I just, I wasn't willing to live my life that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we all come to that point in our dieting journey where, that kind of structure and rigidity works for a time until life happens.
Exactly.
Right. And then life happened for you in a big way. And I mean, the initial instinct is to blame yourself that you couldn't stay in control of the eating. But like you say, do you really want to? Do you really want to live that way forever?
Right.
So what has a more gentle and intuitive approach to food made available for you?
I think it's more pleasure in food, enjoying the flavors, enjoying the time with family, because there isn't all that anxiety leading up to it. When I was in a really controlled manner, oh my goodness, I'm going away to a conference. Oh, great. There's going to be bread. Oh no.
Oh, bread.
So it's just a more relaxed and going with the flow. So there's bread there. Well, maybe I'll have a piece, maybe I won't. And less worry.
Yeah, like you have a choice, right? Instead of food controlling you and feeling absolutely powerless in the face of food being available that you supposedly can't have. Now it's a choice. I remember, was it an anniversary dinner that you and your husband went to, and you were so thrilled to be able to order off the menu?
Yes. Yeah. It was our anniversary, and it just, looked at all the options, and we actually split plates, because then I got to have more different flavors.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Just opened up, before I'd be looking for the protein and veg only. Don't dare look at pasta. Don't dare look at whatever, or something fried, or, the steak or whatever. But and I took the approach of just having what caught my eye.
And for comparison's sake, how would previous Angela's choices affect your enjoyment of the evening?
Oh, it totally would have impacted it, because I would have then been like, oh, geez, I wish I could have that. And I'd see his plate, or I'd see someone else getting a plate. And then instead of enjoying what I did have, I'd be more focused on what I didn't have.
So this time around, when you just ordered intuitively and got the things that you wanted, and how awesome that you actually shared plates so that you could have even more.
Right.
How was your anniversary dinner? Was it more fun?
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
And I was happier, for the rest of the evening. I didn't, come out of supper feeling deprived.
Yeah. So it's interesting that even when you were eating in a restricted way and monitoring everything very closely, was there still worry in the back of your mind? Like, what is my husband thinking of me?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and he's a wonderful cook. He does most of the cooking in our family. So then I was always, I don't want him to think I don't like it. So I better have some more, or I better finish my plate, or, because not only did I come from the clean your plate generation, I didn't want him to think I didn't like something, or, even maybe I liked it, maybe I didn't, but I wasn't listening to my body saying I was full, or this isn't what I wanted today.
Yeah. And then the flip side of that is that if you clean your plate to like make sure he knows that you like it, and then you eat supposedly too much, then there's all the self-talk about like,
oh, absolutely.
You
I
cheated
should only
on your
be having
diet.
my palm of protein, and I didn't have enough vegetables to protein or carb ratio.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a no-win situation, right? Like the self-judgment,
Absolutely.
like there's just no way out of the self-judgment when you are living under that level of control.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, even though the body image thoughts still exist, like you're still choosing what's right for you in that moment, what's going to make you feel your best, what's going to taste good, what's going to satisfy you. And like, I guess what I'm saying is that on either side of the spectrum, body image thoughts exist.
Yes. For me anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on this side, they exist with a whole lot more freedom, I guess, is the flip side, right?
Right. And freedom and not as much judgment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And awareness that it's not really about my body.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
What about your relationship to movement? Any awarenesses there?
Since I've been, I would say, more active, I've generally enjoyed the activities that I've been doing. So I guess the only awareness would be you don't always have to be doing something. Like you can take that day off to look after yourself and like do the self-care more. And a passive yoga as opposed to some intensive I don't know even know what kind of yoga it's called, but it's like it doesn't have to be the high strength, high demanding one. You get the same, your body enjoys passive movements as much as the intensive ones.
Yeah.
So I guess that, and just the pleasure and just going for a walk with my husband or with my daughter. And that's okay if that's what your activity is for today.
Right. So you're not plagued by the like that wasn't good enough or that didn't.
Yeah. Oh, I can't go for a walk. I have to go work out, or I have to jump on the treadmill. That kind of thing.
Yeah. So you're able to enjoy those activities and make it more of a family time, which is awesome because when there's connection, we're a lot more motivated to participate.
Right.
Okay. So what would you say has been the biggest win for you in participating in one-on-one coaching?
Well, I think the biggest win has been the feedback, the regular feedback and challenging me on, well, what would happen if you did A, B, or C. But that kind of has been working in my brain and helping me to challenge some of those thoughts that come across my brain in the same way. So just learning how to cope with all the the negative thoughts, the challenges of life, that type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's poking holes in those thoughts that happen automatically, right? Like just because this thought passes through your brain, like you have 60,000 thoughts that pass through your brain in a day, doesn't mean that they're all true. It doesn't mean we have to attach to them.
Right.
And I guess the big question is like, where is believing that thought getting you? Is it getting you the result you want in your life? And if not, how do you want to think instead? Right. And that's my role.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that poking at the thoughts. That's exactly what you do.
Yeah. Cause we believe our thoughts like they're truths. Like this thought is in my mind that I have to lose weight to be acceptable and valuable. It must be true.
Right.
Well, it's not necessarily true, right? There's a whole bunch of flaws in your theory because even when you lost weight, you didn't feel acceptable. So is that even a true thought? And what else could be true in addition? Yeah. So what's next for you? What's coming down the pipe now that you're wrapping up in Right Body for Me?
Well, I think I want to make sure that I don't lose the gains that I've made. And still working on challenging those thoughts and, more confident in my self-worth. I guess just more of the same. And I can, it's like a journey, not a destination, I guess. So.
And do you feel like you have the tools to continue on that journey?
I think so, yeah. And if I've got the, my notes and journaling, I'll just flip back and I've got, we've got some tools that when challenges come up, I'm better equipped to deal with them. I just go to my toolbox.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Well, we're winding down here, but is there anything else that's pressing on your heart that you wanted to share with our listeners today?
Actually, I do have one thing. I thought when I adopted my daughter, she's was born in Ethiopia. I thought I better learn how to run, because if I'm going to be the mother of a daughter from Ethiopia, I have to know how to run. And I look back at how ridiculous that was. I mean, she's not a runner, first of all. and there are so many more important things that I need to model for her. So hopefully that this is helping me to do that.
It's interesting the things our brain latches onto, right? As that, like, that are so important that really, like, that's just evidence that not all our thoughts are true, and the things that we place value on, like, it's sometimes so misplaced. Right?
Yeah, when you actually voice them and hear yourself or someone else say them, you realize how ridiculous they are. So.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, what does any child really need from their mother? Yeah,
love.
Yeah,
and acceptance, and that's certainly, I hope I've given her that in spades.
I can be sure that you have 100%. Yeah.
Certainly, it hasn't been my running.
And you know what? If she really needed to learn that, if that was really important to her, I'm pretty sure somebody else could have taught her that if it wasn't your thing.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Well, Angela, thanks for coming on the show today. I really do appreciate you sharing your story. I know that it will resonate with our listeners. So many of your struggles, I think, run true for many. So thanks for being open and vulnerable.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning into the Power in Motion podcast today. If you love what you're learning here, then I invite you to take the next step of embodying these concepts into your own life so that you can live your healthiest, happiest life and never again feel held back by your body. Coaching is the fastest, most efficient pathway to taking what you know in your head to actually applying it and seeing results. Whether you're looking to make changes around movement, food, body image, or all three, I'm here to help you nurture a kind, respectful, and trusting relationship with your body so you can feel your very best. Click the link in the show notes to book a free consultation, and together we'll uncover what's getting in the way of you having the results you want. You'll leave this call knowing exactly what you need to work on, and together we'll explore whether one of my coaching offers is a good fit for you. I can't wait to meet you.